Right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ejuliano, and you're listening to Tokel Talk. On today's show, we're going to talk about crypto marketing, crypto PR, and sorry, we're going to talk about on this show we're going to talk about crypto PR, NFT marketing, Web3 PR. We're talking with the leader of Reblonde, one of the leaders, the CEO of Reblonde, Monty Pierre. Reblonde consists of over 20 PR professionals that have worked with the hottest brands in tech. And Monty holds an MBA in finance and marketing from Manchester University. So, as the CEO of Reblonde, he is responsible for handling the public relations aspects, the strategy, and he specializes in crisis management. So, Monty likes to think out of the box and come up with strategies that improve Reblonde's clients' growth and increases their brand awareness. So, thank you so much today for joining us, Monty. You have a long history of things that you've done in and around entrepreneurs, mentorship, lecturing at universities. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today on short notice, Monty Pierre.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Wonderful. Well, you're here and we're glad to have you because we're hoping to gain some insight from you today. And we'll get right to that. But first, I would like to say also joining us are Kelcie and Dream Tim. And also we've got cApps behind the scenes here doing the live stream for us. So thanks, cApps. And if you would like to contact us, visit our website, tokel.io/tokeltalk. So before we get into a discussion with Monty, we want to hear a little bit of news. Now,
thick and fluffy French toast, which the chain is calling New French Toast, or NFT. To celebrate the debut, IHOP is introducing an NFT. That non-edible NFT will be promoted through the IHOP Twitter and Instagram. Guests can redeem the thick and fluffy French toast for 10 pan coins, the digital coins that IHOP launched back in March, as part of a broader digital loyalty program in their International Bank of Pancakes Stack Market during the first 2 weeks of launch. Historic Marilyn Monroe photographs will be sold as a digital NFT collectible in the metaverse. 100 rarely seen photographs of Marilyn Monroe by legendary photographer Richard C. Miller are to be exhibited, collected, and sold by the Getty Museum and Photo, a fine art photography NFT platform. Those photos come complete with first-of-its-kind blockchain native certificates of authenticity. And also in art news, on Monday, the Vincent van Gogh Sites Foundation, which promotes the work of Dutch post-impressionist painter Van Gogh, launched its first collection of NFTs commemorating the storied artist in collaboration with Hong Kong-based Web3 startup Appreciator.io. The foundation unveiled 6 multimedia artworks, all based on locations connected to Van Gogh. A total of 84 NFTs are currently on sale, each with a 3D animation of a Van Gogh painting and a digital scan of a leaf from a related heritage site. The animation shows the leaf being encapsulated in a glass display, which is a nod to the project's theme of preservation. And that is what's going on in the news and stats for the NFT industry.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kelcie. Always bringing it. And it was interesting to hear some of those stories, especially the ones considering businesses that are taking on NFT technologies and finding use cases for them, like the MLB and the IHOP. So that'll be interesting. And with that said, let's bring Monty in here and talk about this industry, as you mentioned it, Kelcie. So Monty, thanks again for being here. And you're with Reblonde, which is a PR firm. You're the CEO of Reblonde, so you're overseeing everything. So you probably have a really good bird's eye view of the NFT and crypto Web3 space. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say that fair enough. I think that we should start with a little bit of history of my agency uh, as an introductory. What do you think?
Oh, I would love that. Go for it, please.
All right. So the first thing that you should know about my agency is the fact that it was founded 16 years ago, back in 2006, a few years before Satoshi Nakamoto came out with a white paper about Bitcoin. We were already doing tech PR. And that actually makes us a unique breed compared with any of the other agencies that are currently operating in the crypto and blockchain realm, because many of the others open shop sometimes in the past 3, 4, or 5 years when the total market cap of cryptocurrencies have risen above 50 or $60 billion. Now, I don't know if you did PR in the past, but if you did, I'm sure that you know that PR starts and ends with relationships. And we had a very, very long time form and then nurture our relationships with the various media outlets and journalists. Now we're in a position where we can leverage it in order to help our client reach their goals and their KPIs. Early 2017, I have discovered the potential of us helping crypto and blockchain companies, so I made a move on it and established a unit dedicated to their needs. I literally diverted our best people into that department. I also hired a couple of Bitcoin maximalists from the outside in order to instantly inject the necessary knowledge into the agency. And then we kept on doing what we were already doing a decade before that, and that top-notch technology PR. The only thing that we had to add into the mix of things was the crypto vertical, and I will touch on that in a minute or so. So very, very quickly, we found ourselves working with some of the top names in the sector. We were involved heavily with the ICO craze back in 17 and 18. We helped our client raise over $2 billion in ICOs, STOs, IOs. So we have a lot of experience. We worked and working with some of the leading projects out there, from VCs to exchanges to NFT projects and quite a few of the others. And we have a lot of experience. That's the introduction for you.
Excellent. That's perfect. And it ties in back to my question, which was basically, yeah, you do have quite a view of crypto and all the technologies involved and Web3, and all the people, a lot of the people involved. And you saw that and you went for it. Like what you saw that it was coming and that it was the future and that it was still early, and you jumped into it, and you said you even put your best people on it. That's
right.
That's quite a sense of vision and direction. So how does that feel now? Like clearly you've made a good decision in that way, haven't you? You saw it was the future, and now you're seeing, let's say five years later or whatever. What's your sense right now?
Well, my sense right now, and I'm not sure that you guys are going to like my answer, is that that I'm totally uncertain about the future, and I'll explain. Ever since Satoshi Nakamoto came out with a white paper about Bitcoin around the crisis of 2008, we were in an environment of zero interest rate. And when you have a zero interest rate environment, and with central bank printing money, it's easy for pretty much everyone to go to and acquire risk assets. And crypto and NFTs and the likes of them will be in that category. Now, for the first time ever, since crypto was invented, for an environment of high interest rate. So I have to tell you that I'm not certain that this bull cycle that everybody is expecting and waiting for is coming. I'm not saying that it's not coming, but I'm not sure that it is coming.
Interesting. That's a good perspective in that sense. And we like answers that we don't like. So that makes our paradox. But also, I think that you're coming with a sober perspective and recognizing as well that Yeah, it might not come as soon. You get a sense that it will come. How does that affect you as a PR agency? You getting or dealing with clients in the space? What kind of conversations are you having with them
Yeah.
around that?
Well, the cliches goes that fortunes are made in the winter. So good projects are surviving, and I'm sure that they will get through it. Nevertheless, quite a few projects that I'm familiar with and that we were involved with totally imploded. From VCs that had too much invested in Terra to many other projects that just couldn't raise any additional funds, and they no longer exist. And I don't need to tell you guys what happened to the value of any of the NFTs that you were invested in, and quite a few of the cryptos. That said, the good project will make it. And once we will emerge from this dreaded, birth cycle, I'm sure that they will do pretty good. And obviously, other projects will join them as well. So I'm optimistic as always. Nevertheless, unlike the old days, let's put it, I'm not convinced if and when this bull cycle is coming.
Fair enough. And that's a pretty balanced view. So it sounds like you're just, like you said, going at it, grinding away, working with their clients and getting everybody the resources or the supports that they need.
That's right. And with your permission, let me
please
expand a little bit as to the actual work that we're doing for them. I mean, what is crypto and blockchain PR? So the work that we're doing for our clients comprised three main elements or three main components. The first being ongoing PR and media relations. So basically, we're working on their messaging. We're drafting the various press releases, mapping the appropriate publications for each and every story. And once the client approves, we utilize our connections, which I described before, to make sure that they will receive the coverage that they aspire to achieve and also deserve. Now, the idea usually is to get the client published 3 or 4 verticals that are essential to the success of the project. So the first vertical is obviously going to be crypto, which I mentioned before. Publications such as CoinDesk and Cointelegraph and The Block and Blockworks and similar. And a reason for it being because this is where you're going to find people with Bitcoin and Ether already in their wallets, and obviously they are susceptible to get involved with the project. Getting the name there is going to be very important. The second vertical is going to be technology, because many of our clients developed impressive technologies. So getting their name in publications such as Wired and TechCrunch and VentureBeat will be super effective as well. And the last vertical, third or last, is obviously business and finance, especially if they have plans to raise additional funds, regardless if it's going to be from institutional investors or accredited investors, or even if at some point they will decide to go ahead and raise it straight from the crowd. So it could be the European Financial Times or Forbes and Fortune, or the Wall Street Journal, of course. So once I'm able to get the client published in each of those verticals, well, I'm assuming that they have a strong team and a solid idea behind them. Then from the PR perspective, they tend to have a very good chance of having a successful marketing campaign. So that's the first component, ongoing PR and media relations. Now, the second component is everything that has to do with speaking opportunities, events and conferences. Because getting anyone from the leadership of the project on stage as a speaker, or even as a panelist in front of a crowd of a few hundred relevant people, amongst whom you can usually find half a dozen journalists that obviously will have very good PR value. You need to remember that these journalists are actually showing up to the event in order to hear and see whatever is being said on stage, and then they go back to their editorials to report about it. Now, what we're also doing in order to maximize both the time invested and the expense associated with participating in such events, I mean, obviously, you have to buy a flight ticket and get a hotel room. Many times you're required to get like a sponsorship package, a booth or whatnot. That's not small money, especially not for a startup. What we're doing in order to maximize it is that we're reaching out to the organizers of the event with whom we usually have fantastic relationships, and we're asking them for a media list. Now, a media list is a list in which you can find the names and contact details of all the journalists, all the bloggers, all the influencers who are going to be attending the event. And then we're reaching out to them ahead of time in order to secure press meetings, for the attendees. So face-to-face with the reporters and the editors. And obviously, if you have anything interesting to say at a particular time, you should expect to see good press coverage as a result. So that's the second component. The third and last, super important component is everything that has to do with thought leadership, guest posts or bylines, as we call them, in order to create, again, for the leadership of the project, the aura or our reputation, let's call it, of experts in their field, people who understand the material, people who have the right knowledge to lead the sector, people who have a proper vision for the future of the sector. Is all going to be super important for their ability to lead a successful project. And again, the best way to do so is by writing thought leadership, which we are writing together with them. Obviously, we're relying on their knowledge and their expertise, but we're doing the actual writing. We have a fantastic content department in-house. And once approved, we're adding their name and their photo and their bio to these write-ups, and again, utilizing our connections with the media in order to ensure that these write-ups will get published as well. So through these three components, ongoing PR and speaking opportunities and thought leadership, we're able to create a PR strategy for which we can send more and more data about the project and more news and information about our project to the press, thus keeping them, their target audience is top of mind. And frankly, from my perspective, it's not really important whether the target audience are potential investors, potential partners, or just, users, gamers, and whatnot. So this is very short and to the point. What is it that we do?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and it seems like you have a wide coverage, and it makes so much sense that you talk about relationships and how important they are for you and the work that you do and the service that you provide. So that's excellent. And okay, so I'm curious a little bit now about, let's say, for example, the NFT marketing services, for example. What are you seeing come through these days? Like, have you seen anything change? Are there any trends you've noticed, or is there anything that has changed, that you've seen? What can you tell us around that? Is there anything interesting you could share?
Well, toward the end of last year and the beginning of this year, I saw many conventional, non-crypto, non-NFT, just old economy type companies making their first step into the metaverse or NFTs. But then, where the bear arrived, they're kind of, pulled out of it. Obviously, not all of them, but I mean, Kelcie just mentioned IHOP, and that's fantastic news. But you don't see that flood of old school type companies making their way into the metaverse, and obviously for the obvious reasons. I hope that it will change pretty soon.
Yeah, maybe. Well, like you said, we don't know when it'll turn around, but the sense is maybe that people have gone away or the interest has waned, and that's where a lot of value can be gained by people who are here and building and experimenting and trying still. And then when it does become a bit more of a bull once again, like you mentioned, then you'll get more of that flood that you were speaking of, possibly, and and then it'll stick a bit more. But for now, what you're saying is things have slowed down a little bit in the NFT side of things, and although there are significant projects and developments still happening, but it's less. Is that the idea?
That's right. Development is obviously happening, and ideas are being brought to the front, but the execution is much slower. And obviously the projects are having a much harder time to raise fund and by that bring their vision to life. So everything is in a slow motion sort of pace right now. Again, we're all optimistic that this will change soon enough.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned slow motion, and it feels like, okay, no rush, just head down, get to work, do your thing, build these, the solutions and the new things. Like, okay, so from your perspective, how do you see it going? We did mention IHOP, we mentioned the baseball tickets. In the last cycle, you saw a lot of art, and then also different kinds of the ways the art were generated and rarities, and then you saw also communities, a lot of community and DAOs and things coming together through NFTs and NFT technologies. Do you see it changing more, and in what way? Like, how do you see things changing in terms of what will we be using them for? What might it look like? Or what are you interested in or curious about? Like, what do you think about in terms of how this is going to progress in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years? Or is that too big of a time frame?
Well, I would love to see it getting more traction with the general population, not just with the crypto fans and people from within the community. Adoption for NFT and crypto as a whole is critical for it to succeed. But listen, it's not all gloom and doom out there. I mean, it was literally impossible to hire people to your project, NFT or not, just a few months ago. And now with this down cycle, it's becoming much easier. So it's important for a quality project to recruit the appropriate personnel. Now they're able to do that, and again, I'm sure that they will be able to utilize this downturn to their advantage and emerge out of it much stronger.
You know what? You make a good point, and it reminds me that everything has its season, and even those seasons, they matter to the whole cycle of things and the way things grow and develop over time. So yeah, it's an interesting point you make, that now a lot of people have slimmed out, trimmed out, and the ones who are sticking around can now find each other better, easier. There's less noise, there's less, and it's in a stage of building rather than a stage of proliferating and copying and just making a lot of things that are very similar. You mentioned you were in the ICO time frame as well. At that time, was it similar? Did you notice any similarities between that and, let's say, the NFT bull market that came this time?
Absolutely. So we had a couple of successful ICOs. We started with Bancor. I don't know if you are familiar with this project, but back in June of 2017, we were able to raise $153 million for that project. The biggest ICO raise of its time back then. Obviously, that record was broken and then rebroken again and again. And then all type of, how should I put it, non-viable project, came to the front as well, and the unavoidable crush that came with it. And I think that we saw a similar pattern here with NFTs. I had quite a few cool and viable project, and then some project that are probably didn't have the right to exist, and then the whole thing literally have imploded. Now I'm not saying that it imploded because of the noise and because we had too many projects that didn't earn the right to exist, but rather because everything went down along with the rest of the financial market. But the fact that we have less noise, as you defined it before, is making my life as a publicist much easier. Up until a few months ago, when I was trying to pitch a reporter for a story, he was bombarded with dozens of other stories that are coming from projects that right now no longer exist. So it making my life as a publicist much easier to get coverage, for good, viable project right now than it was just up until a few months ago.
Wow. Yeah, this is really good insights into NFTs, the industry, the people, and the relationships involved. So we're super blessed to have you on the show today, Monty. You obviously have incredible experience and insights to share. Maybe we won't go too much further, but I would like to bring up Web3 because we kind of touched on it before the show. And we chuckled, we laughed a little bit about it because we thought, okay, fine. You said maybe we even need to define it. So Web3 is this phrase now, the word now, concept now. Maybe let's just discuss it as a concept, if you don't mind. Share with me your thoughts, like what is Web3, and we'll go from there.
The original Web 1.0, or just the web, was informative. You had the ability to go into a website, read its content, click a few pages, and that was it. Web 2.0 was a web where you can actually interact with it. So you're able to fill forms, social media, you're able to create conversations and whatnot, and that was much better than Web 1.0. Now Web 3.0 already involves AI and machine learning, and basically it is able to predict what is it that you need or what is it that you want from the web and the internet. Now, for me as a publicist, the whole difference is that I need to make sure that a Web3 project will get coverage in that vertical as well. So we're targeting Web3 and metaverse, type publications, and we're making sure that the project will get some publicity there as well. Obviously, with the popularity of Web 3.0, quite a few publications and outlets emerged as well, and we're making sure that we will have the right connection and relationships with the writers there, and we're able to get some nice coverage for the relevant project as well.
Nice. Okay, so would you say Web3 is where we own our own data again, or is that going to be Web4 or something like that? Or do you think we get our data back, or is it always in the hands of the big data, if you know what I mean?
It's a very good question. I think that this will be included in Web3. I don't know what Web4 will bring, to us. What do you think?
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, this is the first time I've really ever tried to think beyond Web3, because I also do get the sense that Web3 should be about data self-sovereignty in some way, where we own our data again and have the power. But it's about it, and in that sense, power too. Like it's not when you own your data, you have the power again. You have the upper hand or whatever you want to call it, but do you know what I mean? Like when you own your data, you're in control, and you're in charge of your own data. I mean, and because it's value, your data is valuable. So I guess that's my thought around that. And yeah, you mentioned like AI and machine learning and just these next level technologies that can automate and verify and without like using all of course the brilliant technologies involved with blockchain, right?
Yeah, and also predict what is it that you need and want. So the fact that it will be able to learn, your web desires, let's call it this way, is what's making Web3 so attractive and lucrative, well, for me at least.
Okay, cool. Maybe just a fun little question here, and of course, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But did you enjoy the bull market of NFTs recently? And did you pick anything up that you still have that you enjoy, or that you want to hold on to and keep? Like, what's your favorite NFT project or NFT itself, or do you
Well,
not really go
obviously,
there?
I enjoyed the recent bull market tremendously. If anything, because we were leading the PR efforts for many of these projects. So I really liked and still like multi NFT. They're creating venues within the metaverse, Decentraland and Sandbox. More than invited to visit their venues. We did the PR for famed fashion designer Philip Plein when he was making his moves into the metaverse as well. So I really like what he was doing. The last project that I was involved in really like is a play to earn game called Cryptomon with a K. So that's another project that we were involved in and I really liked.
Amazing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's just what really actually gets me is how many there are. There's just so many projects and people doing a lot of great things, and then of course so many of them crash and burn, like you said, for one reason or another. But yeah, there's just so many people. It's
That's
wild.
right, but again, it's a natural process. I mean, the same thing happened with high tech back in 2000. So we had a bubble, and with the bubble, quite a few projects that weren't viable, from pets.com and other even famous or less famous project imploded, and thus clearing the way for good viable projects such as eBay and Amazon and Google and we found ourselves with the new pillars of high tech and the internet. So I see it as a healthy process. Again, as I told you, half an hour ago, the what is not yet defined is how crypto and blockchain and NFTs will behave in a high interest rate environment, which is an uncharted territory for them yet. While for the rest of high tech sector, it's already clear. So I guess we'll have to wait a few weeks or month or a couple of years and see how it will evolve.
Excellent. Well, I'm convinced that you'll still be around with Reblonde, doing the great work that you do for your clients.
That's the plan.
And yeah, and so we look forward to talking to you again at some point to hear any updates, and maybe we'll meet again in the next bear market or something, or maybe at the top of the bull. I'll meet you anytime. You seem like a
Let's
really
make it
great.
at the top of the bull.
Yeah, sweet. Well, that'll be a good time. All right. Definitely looking forward to it, and I'm wishing you all the best with that. I'm not trying to cut off our conversation too quickly, but I do want to slow it down and bring it towards a close. Is there anything about Reblonde that you would like to say before we end today? Reblonde is a leading B2B and B2C tech public relations agency, and yeah, it's been definitely a pleasure talking to you and hearing about it.
Thank you so much. So listen, we're always on the cutting edge of technology. As I told you, it was way before crypto was created, from VR to AR and cyber technologies and robotics and drones and whatnot. And now obviously it's, crypto and blockchain and NFT and all that. We're always scanning and searching for emerging technologies. And once it will, appear, we will be there as well. Nevertheless, we're very good. We really like to help, crypto and blockchain and NFT and Web3 projects. So looking forward to continue our collaboration with our current clients and future clients. And I'm absolutely excited about this sector. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, wow. You're very welcome. And thank you for coming on today and being here with us and sharing all of your expertise and experience. So I guess that's going to round us out for today. Is there anywhere people can follow you? What's the website that people should go to if need be?
Yes, of course. So it's www.reblonde.com. Come and witness our work firsthand.
Sure, check it out. Okay, very good. Well, Monty Pierre, it's been a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. And of course, to all of the audience, thank you for listening. And again, join us for the next Tokel Talk. We'll be talking to some guests from Rare Candy 3D and Yak DAO. So see the announcements for further details. And to keep up to date with the latest, follow us on Twitter at Tokel Platform and join our community in the Tokel Discord. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll talk again soon. Goodbye.